So you're finally taking your first step out of the nest and moving into a place where you now set the rules and also shoulder the responsibilities. With your primary education completed and a fresh graduation or equivalent certification in hand, you're almost ready to take the next step into finding four walls and a roof to call your very own. But before you can do this, there's a few things you will need to have covered to increase the likelihood of being approved to live in one of the 193 million rental housing units in the United States, which includes duplexes, multi-story apartment complexes, condos, and mobile homes. So, step one, and this should be quite obvious, you're going to need a source of income. And for the overwhelming majority of people who don't have their family pay for their rent, that means you're going to need a job. Many places that rent out their units will have a policy that requires a significant down payment, which is called your deposit. And you will need to bring in several of your most recent pay stubs too. Another thing that they're almost sure to check is your credit. Your credit score is a mathematical formula banks and financial institutions use to gauge how reliable or risky it would be to loan you money and expect to see it paid back on time. Most credit scores range from 300 to about 850, with the chances of large, low-interest loans being approved for higher credit scores. Typically, anything above 700 is considered good and could open up the door to attractive incentives like high-limit credit cards, large auto loans, and a suite of other financial benefits. While building credit is challenging, it's very easy to damage your credit by missing utility payments, car payments, defaulting on purchases that you're paying in installments, terminating a lease, or any other number of infractions that could cause a bank, and by extension the people looking at your apartment application, to waver in their confidence that you'd be a reliable tenant. So let's say you get all that settled, you have a solid job, no major recent gaps in your employment history, and your credit is good enough to get by. So now, you have to start narrowing down some of the places that will suit your needs. If you live in a large city where the commute could be considerably burdensome, try looking at places that are in essential hubs, meaning all the things that you need for day-to-day life are within reasonable driving distances. You won't have rent money for long if you have to drive half an hour out on a Friday rush hour traffic just to go run errands. Next, what are some of your accommodation needs? Do you need a 1,400 square foot luxury apartment with a French balcony overlooking a sculpted community pool complete with hot tub in a gated complex? Or will a 700 square foot one bed, one bath suffice? Does the apartment's policy allow for pets? And if so, are you willing to pay the $300 plus upfront pet deposit they might require? Do you have your own washer and dryer? Because depending on where you go, you may have to leave those behind, as they may only offer on-site laundry rooms with no extension hookups. This is why it's important, as with any major financial commitment, to really put in some legwork and do your due diligence and research. Narrow the listings in your area down to 2 or 3 really attractive options, and if possible, even schedule a walkthrough with management to get a good feel for the place. They might even let you have some open units that you can tour. And lastly, you're going to need to make a decision about whether or not you're going to fly solo or take on living with others. Both these options have a lengthy list of pros and cons that will be unique to each person's temperament and tolerance. If you feel you make more than enough money to cover your monthly rent as well as all your other financial obligations, you may find getting a roommate unnecessary, but may still enjoy the company, as living anywhere without companionship can be quite lonely. However, be aware that while having a roommate who also happens to be a close friend or partner can be emotionally rewarding, it's also just as likely that it could cause fractures in your relationships when their part of the rent is absent and payments due in 3 days, or when they have living habits incompatible with your own, such as smoking, partying, keeping the shared living space in poor condition, or having guests over frequently without running it by you first. Just because they are your siblings or best friends doesn't necessarily mean living together is going to bring you closer. In fact, it could do the exact opposite. So always make sure to prioritize sitting down and discuss in detail boundaries and expectations between anybody who will be cohabitating, so everyone's on the same page. Also, and I feel this should go without saying, don't go on social media sites to look for potential roomies. Not saying they will rob you or anything like that, but you don't know these people, and now you'll be sleeping just down the hall from them, and depending on them to do their part to ensure y'all still have a roof over y'all's head each month. So now, hopefully, you're a bit more equipped to find a space to make your very own, until you can finally sign that dotted line that makes you a homeowner. As always, if you liked the video, we would really appreciate a like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notified of new content as soon as it's posted on the channel. And as always guys, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.